Oh, look at that. Got a baby on the call. Love it.
Yeah,
Look
I
at that
just wanted to
doll.
make sure some of you knew that the youngest attendee is with me today. So
Yes.
she's only 4 months old.
Oh,
So
what's her name?
I hope you have some suitable content, Brad.
I think young years, first of all, and second of all, I hope that they're ready to begin their career.
Well, I mean, at least in
Like
vibe
now.
coding.
You can always vibe code. Yeah, that's right. Like ga ga ga.
Please, please convert these gurgles into functioning code.
Into card
Yeah.
components, please.
It's so great
Oh,
to see you, Christopher. It's been a long time, and congratulations. Like that's like
congrats.
a new chapter for you. That's awesome.
It is. Yeah, thank you so much. Good to
I
see you
love it.
too, and thanks again for that awesome course that I just finished.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much. Thanks.
I got to
That's
get
great.
into that course. Man,
Yeah,
I've been
we'll have
seeing
to
it all
make that
over.
happen.
Mm,
I think we actually might maybe while like people are coming in, I don't know if we want to just like kind of like jump in, but there
yeah.
is actually I feel like kind of like I have like something in mind. It's like so this is the fourth right chapter of this, and
Hmm.
this is like really kind of put on by our kind of passion and enthusiasm for all of this. So I feel like there's like a couple kind of like announcements slash like things to maybe guide your eyes to or ears to. The first of which is that the awesome Smashing team has turned this into a podcast format, which is amazing. So you could listen to it on Spotify and Jeff. What did we also get Apple Music
Yeah,
operational?
I see Amanda nodding her head, so
Yeah.
I'll just go off
Great.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think that we'll be kind of like exploring like how best to distribute it to kind of other platforms. And there's been some stuff that I've been poking around with to do that in other arenas that I could talk about. But I think like the other thing that's worth drawing your attention to is like the Smashing community is awesome and the membership is like super cheap. Like $100 for a year, you get access to Slack channel, bunch of great, kind, nice, passionate design and development practitioners. So they're really the ones kind of shouldering a lot of like the load to make this show happen. So definitely would recommend to you if you're enjoying this stuff to check that out. And then I think like the other things I've kind of had like a crazy big week. I've been for basically the last like number of months, I've been kind of just cranking away at a number of things. And one is this launch of I have a new atomic design certification course that is in kind of pre-order mode, so it doesn't yet exist. But if you pre-order the course, it's $50, and basically it's going to be like a deep dive into kind of design systems, atomic design, and all of that stuff. And we made a cool website for it where like as you sort of like scroll down the page, it kind of like explains kind of what atomic design is. And
Dang, that's cool.
is that cool? Right? So it kind of like helps like spell it out, but then like the idea is it's like, yeah, it's like this is I think like one of the things that we're trying to do. It's like for reasons still sort of unbeknownst to me, it's like atomic design continues to be this thing and it shows up on job applications and it's stuff like that. So it's like a really want to help, designers and developers and anyone sort of making digital products like land jobs. Whereas it's like, yeah, like I know this stuff. I know I'm competent in this. I know all of these like core concepts, best practices, and I know how this actually works. But then for like existing teams and stuff, um, one of the biggest things that I've seen as the years have sort of gone on where it's like, oh, okay, we now have like design systems and there tends to be this like there's been this distance growing between like the design systems and the products they serve. And atomic design is really like this glue that kind of ties it all together and keeps the systems and the products they serve really connected. So that's kind of like what I'm trying to accomplish with this course. So and this is like how I'm feeding my family and my brother's family and stuff. So would really love if you're enjoying these conversations and stuff and you want to learn some more, this is an opportunity to sort of support me in my work. So that's that. That's one project that I launched last week.
Out of 10, right?
The second one is another podcast actually, and it's not the same as this, but it's also not wholly different either. Also made a fun, cool website with
I saw
this, which is great. But so this is a podcast called Wake Up Excited, and what I'm doing is I'm interviewing really like exuberant, enthusiastic, and positive people. The people that I kind of see as fellow travelers who kind of operate a certain way, and they seem to really sort of lean into living a positive and creative life. And so a lot of the guests are super renowned in their respective fields, right? So it's like I have like Aaron Walter, Jessica Hish, and Denise Jacobs as my first guests. And, you know, these people are incredibly talented, very like successful in their respective realms, but we're like not talking about work at all. Instead, we're kind of like talking about just like the philosophy of life and the engine and how they sort of view things and how everyone can kind of like cultivate this kind of attitude in their own lives. I think that in this particular moment, these I feel like they're urgent and also important conversations to have, and they're a lot of fun because I'm interviewing a bunch of people who are passionate and enthusiastic and in a lot of cases pretty hyper extroverted people.
Sure.
So yeah, so that's that one. And then the other thing is like kind of like tying it all together. It's like I have like all this stuff like swirling around and but also it's like social media has been you know splintered and everyone just kind of scattered to the wind. And by way of this show, but also just kind of this next generation of social media and other things, like I found myself like really just starved for like real human connection, like direct, like talking to actual people and not having algorithms and AI and whatever and not it's like yes, I'm like using this as like a vehicle to kind of share what I'm up to professionally, but I think like the main crux of it is just like really trying to reconnect with actual human beings. And so that's been really cool to kind of like dust that off. So if you want kind of this weird stew of I feel like, you know, profound and absurd work and life, you know, design, music, art, creativity, weird humor. I'll probably share some off the wall stuff too. You could sign up for my newsletter.
Well, it's not just that too. I mean, you also are out in the open with a bunch of hobbies too. You've got cold drumming that you do that you share, which I've really enjoyed. That's
Yeah.
yeah. Oh my gosh, do you have a whole website? I haven't even seen the website
Oh
for
yeah,
this.
you
Are you
haven't seen the
kidding me?
website? Yeah.
No.
So
Oh, that's so cool.
so I
Alanis
have a whole
Morissette, are you
website.
kidding me?
So you could go here and you could vote on which albums you would like me to play to. So all of these albums I know really well, but I've never played drums to them before. And so basically, I have a lot of them, and it's been so fun. I basically just like sit down at the drum kit. I know the music really well, but I've like never
Yeah.
played to it before. So I often like know up like here comes the bridge or here comes like this hit or this like drum fill or whatever. That's fun. Like kind of it's just been like a really fun way to kind of like connect with the music that I love in a
Yeah.
different way, and it's been a lot of fun. So
Did
yeah.
I see what was that? The Jay-Z Beatles mashup in there?
Oh yeah, Yeah, and
Are you kidding me? I love that album.
I just recorded that one, and or is it the Gray album?
Yes.
I actually
Super
recorded
cool.
that one, and it was as you might imagine, a ton of fun to play along with that one. So, but anyways, yeah, but like, so, I figured like we're 4 episodes into this thing, and we really love putting it on. There's I'm finding it to be a lot of fun. Jeff, Amanda, I'm sure you're into it as well, and other people have said as much that they've been enjoying it, and just kind of wanted to like use that as an opportunity to kind of say like this is all, it's all powered by love, but love doesn't pay the bills by itself.
But it's
So.
all you need. It's all
Yeah,
you
it
need.
is all you need. I think like truly like bringing that into like the professional world, like I feel like the grand
Hmm.
experiment is, for me at least, in this like phase of my career, is it's like how do I just like direct like love and like kind of fun and let's do cool things
Yeah.
and be like, and some of those things are going to somehow generate money and feed my family, and it's like a really interesting place to be, because I feel like it feels pretty, I feel very uh like that's 100% the right path, and it also feels incredibly lonely.
I was going to ask you, how, I mean, this is intersecting on a lot of the questions that we receive on the show in general,
Mhm.
is there anything you want to open up about when it comes do you see this as a transition for you?
Yeah, I think 100%. And I think that there's like a lot of like really kind of strange dynamics at play where I am I feel like I am firing on all cylinders, kicking some ass, and have like done a lot of really important and hard earned work to arrive at this place where I don't necessarily feel like I'm bulletproof, but I feel like not a lot gets under my skin a whole lot anymore, and like I don't necessarily like need a lot of like external validation to know that what I'm doing is good. Of course I appreciate that stuff, but that's like not what's driving this anymore. Like there's like, I think, a phase of your like career or life or whatever where you really are, you're looking for those external signals, and
Yeah.
you're looking for status, and you're looking for all of that stuff. And I don't think that ever fully goes away, but
No.
I feel that I've kind of arrived at this place where I'm just kind of like, I I have now, I feel like, demonstrated that trusting my instincts, doing the things that I feel are important and that are ultimately a net good, uh, are are worth pursuing, and that personal satisfaction is really like the end goal versus any sort of other thing. And I think that that's like an interesting place to be, but I think that
Yeah.
that's like juxtaposed against a whole heck of a lot of kind of negativity kind of like surrounding me. And it's a really hard place to live, because a lot of times I kind of like feel like an island, right? I'm sort
Yeah.
of, I've been helping some people, both close and not, through some pretty major mental health stuff right now, and trying to really hard to show up for them, but also try to protect my own joy and not kind of get
Yeah.
sucked into that vortex. And I think that that's like a really hard place to be. And I'm sure that we've all experienced that, right? It's like you want to show up for friends or family who are really going through it, but you're also kind of like, you could either feel that gravitational pull where you're like, uh-oh, I'm getting sucked down the toilet too, or but you also don't want to necessarily like totally ghost them or retreat. And like it's like a
Yeah.
really hard place to be, to like kind of
Yeah.
protect your own self and your own well-being and your own joy and happiness and fulfillment, while also existing in this world in this moment in time, which is hard. And also showing
Yeah.
up for people who maybe are in a, by way of brain chemistry or circumstances or whatever, are just like in a different place. And it's really difficult terrain to navigate.
No, one of like the best pieces of like uh premarital counseling that I ever received, and I mean, I'm digging back now. This is like 17 or 18 years ago, right?
Yeah. Well, it
But
worked.
yeah,
Before you say
did.
anything, it worked.
It did, right? I know, seriously. No, it's just one piece of the whole puzzle, right? But the whole idea of like, when someone is drowning in the water, like you don't jump in the water after them, because you could get sucked in and dragged into it and drown as well. But you are the first person to offer a life preserver. You're the first one to like reach down and pull them up, onto dry land. You are the first one to like offer a towel when they first come out. Like you
Yeah.
offer all those things, but just don't jump in the water. That's exactly the like conceptual hard part of that.
Yeah, especially when the person who's drowning is like, I need you to get in this water right this second.
Yes.
Like that's what's difficult, because there's like a mismatch of perspective, right? It's like you could kind of see the situation for what it is, and a lot of times it's like the other person is like, this is what I am requiring you or need you to do right now, and you're kind of like, I want to show up for you, but I promise you, me joining you is not going to end well for both of us. So
That's fair too, to
yeah.
even say that and acknowledge it and make it a thing,
Yeah.
like
Well,
not like not
that's
lessening
just
it.
it. It's like and that's what gets like really fascinating about whenever you sort of hang out in this territory for long enough, is like you get pretty damn good at talking about a lot of the sort of subterranean emotional landscape, and like here's the like here's like the psychological realities going on at play, and you end up like, it's a skill to develop to go. And that's what like kind of things like cognitive behavioral therapy and stuff are, is like, is this noticing, is this like, yes, I'm feeling like this, and you're able to catch it, and you're able to hold it up to the light, and you're able to examine it. And that's like a real freaking superpower whenever you're able to do that, especially if you struggle with negative self-talk or sort of like other things like that. And there's these pretty common sort of thought patterns that people fall into, right? Oh God, that everyone's gonna laugh at me, or this is gonna fall down on its face, or like all of that stuff. You're able to train your brain to catch that stuff. And not to say that it's like, oh, those thoughts are wrong, but you're able to just kind of go, yep, there it is, and then you commit to moving forward in a healthier way. So it's just like, this stuff really is, it's a practice. It is like, I see it as mastery, in the same way that we get better at designing things, at developing things. Like anything you put focus or your consciousness towards, and you're like sort of developing skills and you're improving things. And it's really cool to sort of see the results of that stuff start to play out, because it means that like ongoing kind of conversations or future conflicts or future situations, like the half-life is shorter. Even if like the intensity is there, there's just like better ways of kind of coping and dealing with it. And I think that's like a lot of times whenever people discuss mental health, they see it as a bit of like a binary, where it's like, I tried therapy, it didn't work, or I tried getting on this medication, yeah, it didn't work. It's like, this is a journey, right? And so it's not a light switch. It's not like there's one way to attack this. Like, this
No,
is
there's no blueprint.
hit it from all the angles, hit it over time. Like, you deserve that. you know, you deserve to be in a better place. And it's really admirable, the people that I see really kind of take those steps to be able to recognize, like, yeah, I'm struggling, and I'm
Mhm.
willing to do the work and sort of do all the things to get to a better place. The people that I see not doing so great are the people that don't allow themselves to do that. They're like, I'm not well. Like I I know someone who's just like, haha, I'm crazy. I know that I like have a bunch of stuff, and like they kind of like laugh it off, and you're like, yeah, that's you
Yeah,
might want to think about that. Like, you know, you're telling me that right now, you're laughing about it, but it's like, sort that out. Sort that
well,
out. Like, you don't laugh about like not being
yeah.
well and not trying to do things about it. They're just like, ah, like I accept it. I'm just like kind of like crazy. And it's like, no, nope, don't
No, it's
don't 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 hide behind that. Like, you know, or maybe that's just like the coping, and hopefully they
that's the
are
coping
sort of
mechanism,
dealing with it. Yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Well,
So
and the danger of that too is, something under the rug just gives us new defaults, right? It like hardwires us
yeah.
into shortcuts that circumvent the actual dealing with this stuff, and so it becomes a habit or just like a automatic defense mechanism just to sweep that stuff under the table
Yeah.
or under the
Yeah.
rug.
And you saying that the sweeping things under the rug, it's like, I think that that's like, it's such a, I've been using it myself. It's like, here's this rug, and it's just like, here's this giant mound that is clearly visible. It's like a Bugs Bunny sized mound under this carpet, and everyone's tripping over it. You're tripping over it. It's getting in the way of
Yep.
everything. And yet it's like, oh, yeah, that's just the rug. And you know, like it's take care of your shit. Like
Yeah.
that's been like, that's like the most blunt way I could say it, in as loving a way as possible. Whatever shit is to you, only you know what that is. Take care of the shit. Like, take care of your shit, attack it head on. Like, you don't want to be in a place where you are like, this is like a lifelong thing or a lifelong struggle. Like, it's scary. It's scary to move
Yeah.
towards your shit. It's scary to attack it and confront it. But like, I promise you, it is going to reap so much reward, like, and you can like get on the other side of things. And again, there's this like real like kind of like durability that comes from the hard work
Yeah.
of actually taking care of it, getting the shit from out of the carpet, not just throwing it into a closet or doing like a little Goodwill run and donating some extra shit. Like to actually do the proper like KonMari, you know, actually
Yeah.
sort of pick this stuff up, you know,
With
hold it
joy.
up to the light, process it, work through it, get it sorted, and you're going to be a lot lighter, a lot more content on the other side of it. But it's freaking work, right?
It is. The process that I've had to struggle with lately is recognizing when I'm triggered by something. Like something happens and you get a distaste in your mouth or you get a feeling in your stomach, you get, like something in your head is just not right. Um, but not to sweep that feeling under the rug and say, hey, that's just a feeling. I don't have to feel this way. I can just ignore it and be happy or whatever. You actually look at that trigger and say, what caused this and why does it make me feel not good? And then when you say not good, you have to say, what do I mean by not good? Like
Mhm.
where on the spectrum of not good does that fit? What kind of adjective can you create for that? And then once you have, this like good understanding of what the trigger is and what that feeling is,
Yeah.
you can start drawing up clear boundaries, around those things, or have like pre-prepared things that you can do to help, manage those when they come up.
Yeah.
That's ridiculously hard work to do, just like you're saying. And but like you said, also it's the bravest thing that you can do, and ultimately leads to, less baggage at the end of
Yeah.
the day. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say is like a lot of times, people who are suffering, they tend to care about the other people and often sort of think about things like taking care of your own shit as kind of like a selfish act. I'm going to take this time, I'm going to like do this stuff and all of that stuff. And I think it's just so important to stress that it's like taking care of your own stuff is ultimately one of the most selfless acts you can
Mhm.
do, right? It helps you, yes, and that is good, and that you deserve it. But also, it's like the best thing you can do for all of the relationships in your life and everyone who encounters you in the world is if you're in a stable place and you're not just like kind of like bleeding out all over the place, like you can actually show up for other people. You can take care of the things and people and responsibilities in your life a hell of a lot easier. So it's like there tends to be this kind of the guilt or the shame or whatever like that kind of prevents people from doing it, and it's like like other people have it a lot worse, and I just need to
That's
suck it
right.
up, pull myself up by my bootstraps. I need to stop complaining and just kind of move through it. It's like nope,
No.
like actually take the time and don't look for the excuses to kind of to walk around the giant mound under the rug.
Well, as you're talking about this, of course, my mind has to get a little nerdy, and I'm just like, yeah, feelings, they kind of bubble up like styles in the cascade, right? They get inherited up and like inherited by other elements. Uh,
Yeah,
sorry, I went there.
how can we work specificity into this conversation about mental health? Pseudo selectors.
We have to
Yeah.
introduce an ID somewhere,
Yeah. Oh my God.
Maybe scoping helps. I don't know. Jeez.
Well, on that note, do you want to dig into some questions? We got some really great things coming in, and I'm excited to unpack them.
Yeah,
Uh,
I
so
got five that I'd really like to hit.
love
I'm
it.
not going to go in a certain order, but one of them I'm really excited to get into. But I'm going to save that one for just a moment because I think I need to hear it more than that person
Yeah, that's
needs to
great.
hear it.
That's great.
So let's dig in. We have Leah here, who has a great supportive boss and a team that I can collaborate with and vent to. However, we don't have an established ladder for individual contributors at my company. I am at the
Mm.
top of my band, and while my boss tells me he's working on creating more of a ladder, watch out for that. That's a red flag, perhaps. Specifically for those of us in my situation, it feels more like a dangling carrot. How would you push to define that ladder? How long should I wait before this is actually an empty promise? So basically waiting for the the company to change, so that you're fulfilled in your career path. Have you been in that sort of position, Brad, or like seen people go through that when you've been in house?
I've not. I've kind of never been like in house in that way. It's like I
Mm-hmm.
had a job at an agency, and so there was like this concept of upward mobility. And so I'll say that like I don't want to say that it's a foreign concept, but we certainly see in a lot of the teams that we've worked with that kind of stuff where, sometimes we'd be, working on a project and they're like, oh yeah, like I'm now like a senior, kind of person. And it's like that's awesome.
Right.
So, but all of those things are constructs. I'd say like my immediate thing that comes to mind for Leah here is like what are you seeing your boss do besides say that like are there is there like activities because this stuff does take time, right? Like in order to
Mhm.
like invent a new ladder or change how things get done, like that stuff does take time and effort and labor and all of that stuff. So I'd say that if you're seeing a good faith effort on the part of your boss, to sort of say like, here's what I've been up to. Like when they say that, yeah, we are trying to, what is it? He's working on creating more of a ladder,
Mhm.
specifically for those of us in my situation. And I think that it's like, what do you think about your boss? Like, has their like past behavior demonstrated that they're a good and sincere person, and you could actually like trust that they're doing this, or is this like someone who you're used to hearing lip service or kind of platitudes or other sort of things, but there's not like a lot of substance there. So I'd say like this could actually be like a very true situation where it's like, here's this boss, well-meaning boss, actually wanting to make things better for the people in your situation and to get you more money and to get you more status and all of that good stuff. And again, could take time, especially in these monster size companies, right? Or if you feel, if your gut is like this feels like a dangling carrot, or this feels hollow, and I hear this stuff but I don't hear a lot of substance behind that sentiment, then I'd say to kind of tread lightly. And frankly, and it has everything to do with your relationship with them. It's like, if they say that and they're not expounding on it, there's an opportunity for you to say, like, what are the next steps for that? Like, you know, what either sort of steps have you taken or ideas that you have, or is there anything I could do to help
Yes.
make this happen? Like, and that's the thing that it's like, that's a lot of times I've used that as a bit of a power tool, which is
Yes.
just like here's something that I want to happen, and I am willing to, sort of signal to the other person that it's like, hey, like, what needs to happen and how can I help facilitate that in order for this good thing to happen? And now you could say, well, that's not fair. Like that should be their job. But I think like above all, it's like that's kind of showing your sincerity and
Yep.
you're like, this is really important to me, to the point where I'm like kind of hitting at like, what are the tangible next steps for this? What's the timeline for this? Like when can we expect that stuff? Right? And if you don't get sufficient answers, then you know, you got to kind of start thinking about what to do about that. I don't know, Jeff, what do you think?
One important distinction I heard when you asked, about helping the manager or the boss there to create ladders is, asking between, is there anything I can do to help, or how can I help? Because one's a yes or no question and one's open ended, right? And it's like, if
Yeah.
you ask how can I help, they have to answer it with more than one word.
Yeah.
Which I'd say, it's a small subtle nuance, whatever, but it makes a big difference and shows more of a willingness that you're willing to like act and take initiative there. Another thing I'd take a look at too is just how happy are you in your current job?
Yeah.
Like, do you enjoy it? I mean, it may not be where you ultimately want to be, but is the nature of the job like in the same vein of where you want to be? And also look at your boss's upward mobility too. Can he go up any higher than where he is? And is he trying to? Because if he is, those are opportunities for you to help him succeed in getting there. And oftentimes when you help those above you bubble up, you'll bubble up as well.
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah,
that's,
I
stuff
like
helps.
that, where it's just like, yeah, we're all trying to go up and to the right? Like that's
Totally.
why we're all here, and we're all
Yeah.
trying to have a good time in our
We're on a
work.
team.
Yep. Yep. And so that's kind of why I immediately hit at like, well, what's like the relationship to
Yeah.
boss and all of that. And I like what you're saying, Jeff, is like, what is like your current level of satisfaction at the job? Are you doing fun and important, meaningful things, or is this just kind of a grind? I think
Mhm.
that one of the other things that I'll challenge, and I sort of say this, not challenge necessarily, but encourage people to think more about is a lot of times people take things like org structures and culture and just any sort of thing as just like a given. And they're like, oh, how do I like find, the right sort of place that has like a me size puzzle piece? And you're gonna have a hard time finding that. And so wherever you're at, there is an opportunity to push at and to ultimately enact change on the things that you dislike about your job. And that takes some risk, obviously.
Mhm.
But it's like if you're struggling with a certain teammate or you're just doing a bunch of mundane shit at your job and there's like some other stuff that seems more attractive to you at the company, friggin' say it, right? Like
Yeah.
go there and do that stuff, or to sort of just say like, yeah, we're just going to go over here and invent this. Like I see this need to do this thing,
That.
or I'm at the end of my road here. Like what's something that might still be within the umbrella of my
Yes.
job, but it's you have agency and you have power, right?
Yeah.
I think that's something that like a lot of people, it's just again, it's there's this almost like I'm a turtle on my back, and like if I'm not getting promoted or if I'm not like doing these things, like it's because of this sort of mega structure. All of this
Right.
stuff is made of people. All of these things are just constructs. Uh, any sort of contract or relationship or what, like this is all just human beings like working together, and you play an active role in that, and don't forget that, because I do think that is like it leaning into like the turtle on its back definitely sets up this kind of you know victim mentality, and that's not to actually diminish, like there's absolutely terrible stuff that's out there, and again you need to play an active role in combating that stuff, but it's like I do think that it's a sentiment that has kind of been said to me many times over the years, which is just this like, yeah, like I'm doing my thing, and like waiting for that promotion or waiting for that phone call, or I see this other stuff that's more attractive, and I wish that they would get in touch with me to do that work.
Yeah.
And it's like seek it, like move closer to the things you want to be doing and further away from the things that you don't want to be doing. And there's a lot of wiggle room and a lot of like interpretation in what that means, even within the sort of confines of your current job.
Remember, you can ask, right? I mean, wouldn't it be great if you were in the position of crafting your job description? Like that would
Yeah.
be pretty rad. Because the question I have, for Leah here is like, are you waiting for your boss to craft that job description and to figure out what you do next, or is there a clear vision of what you want to do next? And does
Yeah.
this company actually give you the opportunity to do that?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and that's that again, that participatory, like here's what I see as
Yeah,
my next tier, and what I think it, maybe or maybe not, like leave the compensation part out of it, but yeah,
yeah,
actually like shaping like the responsibilities. Here's what this looks like. Here's what problems we see, and that shows a real like, oh wow, like this person has vision, right? This person
how can I
has
help?
ideas. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, love it. That's great.
Cool. That's great. Let's go on to another question here. Actually, I want to go into the one I'm really excited about here because it's just so I don't know, existential here. I don't this is this is just someone who needs to be public on the internet but does not want to be perceived. That's
That's
the
their
name.
name. Like
That's
that
the
was their
name.
submission. I love it. I
I know,
love it.
I do too. I just don't. Whoops! I clicked on the wrong thing here. Boy, what just
Sorry.
happened
I think
there?
I just moved things around. Sorry.
Oh, dang it, Brad.
I'm
Jeez.
sorry.
All right, here we go. I just don't want to be on the internet. I don't want to be perceived. I want a quiet life free from the shackles of likes and subscribes and the barrage of unwanted internet comments. I don't want to be on social media. I don't want the success of the company I work for to hinge even slightly on my social presence. But to be successful in my job and to keep earning money so I can pay my mortgage and eat food, I need to be visible. I need to be present. I need to be respected. I need to be heard. I need to speak on conference stages. But I don't want any of these things. I do not want to work in tech any longer, but I am trapped. For any other career path would give me a pay cut I just cannot afford right now. Whew. You see why I wanted to tackle this one?
Yeah. Oh man, there's so much there. What do you
I
think,
know.
Jeff? What
Oh,
do you think?
well, I want to start just, by saying I don't want to be on the internet. I don't want to be perceived, like there's this desire for like a very clear picture of what life, what an ideal life would look like. It's quiet, free from shackles, don't have to, go, get the
Perform? Yep.
affirmation of others. You don't want to deal with the negativity of unwanted internet comments. Basically, like why does this person have to be popular? Because there is a sense of responsibility, when you become a visible person. And what do you do when you don't want to be that visible any longer? Because it looks enticing too, right? You might have a lot of folks out there. They're like, boy, I wish I was internet famous. I wish I was, I spoke on conference stages. I wish, people, hit liked or like on my stuff. But at the same time, there's the other side of that coin, right? There's, some people, they get exactly that, and then it's not what they want. And before you know it, you're kind of stuck there. So,
Yeah.
so I'm actually way more interested in what you have to think, Brad, because you're clearly a lot more visible than
Yeah.
than the average person. And like that's got to be, I mean, do you have a sense of responsibility when it comes to that? You don't work for a specific brand, but you have your own personal brand, and you feel like your success might hinge on that visibility.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I think there's a little bit of a trap here, or the thing that they're picking at is that that's the only way to do it. And I will wholeheartedly, I think, sort of reject that there are lots and lots and lots of ways of being in the world. We all know some people who are hyper extroverted, love a good conversation. They're out there. They like tap dancing. They like performing and whatever. And then there's people who are just like, give me a rocking chair and a book, and I'm good. And I have that manifested very strongly in my parents. Like, I'm a mother's son, and she has, she burns with the energy of 1,000 suns. Like, I mean, like she will run circles around my 7-year-old daughter and her friends. She's just like about as energetic and extroverted and stuff as it comes. And my dad, on the other hand, is like, give me a lazy boy and a book, and that's that. So, all to say, our wiring is fundamentally different, and so that therefore we need to pay attention to that and to create a life that is congruent with our natural tendencies, right? So I'm hearing a very, very, very valid response to the absolute just frenzy of social media. Everything is way noisier than it used to be, and I think that this is a perfectly valid reaction to that. It's just like, this is too much. It's just fire hose to the face 24/7, and I feel like I have to participate in this. That there's this kind of like influencer culture that like, and there's this, just the LinkedIn feed and the all of the other feeds that it's just like, oh yeah, you need to be out there. It's not enough to just like do a good job and be compensated for that. Like, there is this extra pressure to do it. And I hear that from a lot of folks who aren't naturally gravitating towards that, and then they, suddenly find themselves out of a job, and they're like, shit, I got to go start tap dancing on LinkedIn and like actually like pretend like I enjoy to do this. And I think that that's wrong, but it's also that is the reality of this situation. I'm not saying it's right. In fact, I agree with it very strongly with the poster that it's like, yeah, you absolutely should be able to exist, do a good job, do some good stuff, and be left alone. And that like all of this stuff, this apparatus, the LinkedIn, sort of machine and social media and just internet culture in general, you don't have to participate in that if you don't want to. And you shouldn't be penalized for it. So just want to say that that is 100% real. And I thoroughly agree with the poster. Now, that said, I feel that there is a lot there. There is this, I need to be visible. I need to be present. I need to be respected. I need to be heard. I need to speak on conference stages, but I don't want these things. I think you do want to be respected. You kind of threw that one in there. Let's put that one in a different category. I think that we all want to be respected. Like we all want to be held in high regard. And if you don't care about respect, and I would pick at that one. But I do think that, yeah, like what we're talking about is this kind of like visible status and follower counts and all of that kind of, kind of cosmetic horseshit that kind of comes along with internet life, in which I participate in, but it's kind of it goes with the grain of like how I naturally sort of, work in the world. So I'm kind of fine with it. I'm not chasing likes, I'm not chasing like followers. I just kind of that stuff tends to just kind of happen as a result of my natural sort of things. But there's a lot there. This dynamic has plagued and infested every other career that's out there. So saying I don't want to work in tech any longer, like if you go be a lawyer, like they got to be out there too. They're doing their little things and breathlessly like writing, little YouTube shorts and LinkedIn things of like, okay, here's the deal with like this latest thing, or here's this policy change. Like you just see it anytime you go onto that, and I think that it's okay to just be like, yeah, this stuff is nonsense, right? So I think that the kind of accept that as a given and to say, great, I don't want any part of that. And I think that that's very valid and very real. And I think that the reframing that I might encourage here is that there's just like so many negatives of it wrapped up in this thing. It's just like, what do you want? What does like turn all of that around? And Jeff, I think that you did a good job, like right out of the gate, to basically say like, I want peace, I want tranquility, I want to like focus on solving problems, and sort of detached from any of this kind of like marketing nonsense and whatever. But to just like really reframe it as like, here are the things that I value, here are the things that I want, here are the things that I want to move towards. And from there, then you can sort of have a better, clear-eyed picture of, okay, now that I know who I am and what I want, what is out there that is compatible with that, right? And it might be hard to find because the again, that sort of very noisy megaphone and just kind of churny feed, the fast moving river of social media and all of that stuff, very, very noisy. So it's like you kind of got to retreat from it and then kind of like go foraging in the woods in a quieter place and like look for those opportunities that maybe they're not out there tap dancing on social media. And maybe it's just like, I don't know, maybe it's that like boring local company that like isn't trying to become the next Silicon Valley darling, and instead they're just like, yeah, we make this kind of stuff and we need somebody to like make some software or manage some software for it. It's like those things exist 100%. 100% they exist and they're not out there doing that stuff, right? So I think that it's totally fine to just be like, I don't like any of that, and to leave it aside. You don't
Mhm.
need to do that. You don't need to participate in that, but you do need to demonstrate what you personally are excited about, what you find interesting, what problems you think are worth solving, what things are turning you on, and then to sort of figure out how to demonstrate that and articulate that to the right people.
I do you get the sense that this person's in dev relations?
I hope not. That sounds like an awful fit.
That's because, I get the sense of like, speak on conference stages, you have to be on social media, you have to be respected,
I
all
think
these
that
things.
they're like observing these things, right? That they're
Yeah.
observing, oh, here are these very visible people who seem to be very successful, and that's the kind of stuff that they're doing. Those are the types of activities they're doing, and that's just wholly unattractive to me, which I think again
Yeah.
is perfectly valid, but I think that it's like kind of cut that cord of this is what I need to do in order to make it. There are many, 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 many ways of making 2 + 2 = 4.
Oh yeah.
That is one way, and that is a way that is rewarded in this kind of current attention economy and stuff like that, right? So it's very
Mhm.
visible, it's very prominent, but I promise you it's not the only way of being.
Yeah. I was definitely going there with if this is someone in dev role, you might want to look at the nature of your job first, and say, is this a good fit with where I want to be? Because if the company does hinge on your presence, on your online presence to be successful, that does make your job an extension of developer relations in some way, whether it's implicit or explicit.
Yeah,
And if you don't want that to be part of your job, absolutely go away from it. It doesn't necessarily mean all of tech is wrought with like bad stuff. There can still
yeah,
be a good facet of tech. I'll
yeah,
be honest and just say, yeah, I'm burnt out on development in general. Like
yep,
I haven't taken a development project in a little while because I just don't feel like doing it
right.
anymore. There's a lot to keep up on. I'm I'm not feeling great about old frameworks that I use, and I need to like get into new ones. And I just feel a lot of times that this is an overwhelming thing,
Yeah,
and sometimes I don't want to have anything to do with it. Especially when you have all this ancillary noise of AI's taking our jobs, vibe coding is now the way to like do things. Oh, we have all these visual builders, we don't need developers anymore. Like it's hard to ignore that stuff, and it's
yeah,
easy to say like I just need to get out of all of this, but maybe
yep,
your specific niche is somewhere else in tech. Like for me, I've been trying to draw the boundary around education and
yeah,
say like, no, like in tech, I'm a technical writer, I'm an editor, and I'm an educator.
yeah,
That doesn't mean I don't develop. That doesn't mean I won't take those like types of jobs. And yes, I am in the fortunate position to like choose that stuff, as an
yeah,
independent contractor. But just saying that like you might not have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak, in this case. But if tech as a whole and the noise around the industry and how it's changing and being industrialized and this is all becoming too overwhelming for you, that's
yep,
where you need to like really do the like personal soul searching of like, is this field aligned with my values? And if
yep,
not, maybe I need to look somewhere else. I mean, I totally get the whole, let's see, what was that comment? But I'm trapped. For any other career path will give me a pay cut I just cannot afford right now. I get
yep,
that because yeah, I could make a lot more as a developer than I could as a high school teacher teaching, career technical education to high schoolers.
yeah, yeah.
But I don't know, that might suit me better, if I'm at it. And that just means changing careers. And when you change careers, you might have to start at the bottom.
Well,
It's
but also it's like there's an opportunity. It's like, do you have to choose, right? Do you
you
have to
have
do
to.
some things? Like a lot of times, I was just somebody wrote me like back to like my newsletter. Somebody wrote me and they're like, I'm doing like content strategy stuff. feeling that sort of same sort of pinch of like, is AI going to take my job? Like, I know what my job is, but like tell that to the pencil pushers who are looking at spreadsheets and stuff.
Yeah.
But also he's like I'm doing uh this writing, I'm doing photography, I'm like leading these hikes and sort of other things like that. And he's like, and that's like kind of what I'm leaning into. And he's like, he's found that that has helped him, sort of make his like actual job like a little bit more tolerable and stuff as well. So all to say is like not all or nothing. It's
Yep.
not this or that. Notice the escapism, right? And
Yeah.
there's always the grass is always greener on the other side. And if I go out here and then it's like, oh, wouldn't that same noise is present really anywhere you're going to go. So that's why I think like really going inward and like kind of saying, what are your values? What are the things that turn you on? What are the types of things that attracted you to this field in the first place? And are those embers still burning? And you know, kind of as maybe some discipline might be required to kind of like recalibrate or sort of put some boundaries around like tech does not equal LinkedIn performative kind of stuff like
What?
that you're
Yes, it
able
does.
to, yeah. Like that really isn't a prerequisite. Again, that's one way of doing it. Everyone's feeling that pressure. It's good to recognize that pressure, and you could also reject it. But yeah, so I think that there is like a way to do that. And Jeff, I love your experience and sort of like sharing. It's like, yeah, like I'm burnt out on like this type of work. We see that all the time. It's like people who are managers, they're like, man, I'm feeling like I'm not making stuff anymore. And they're like, I got to climb back into the weeds. Right. And then people who are making stuff, they're like, I'm done with this. And instead, I want to be a manager or like and those
Yeah.
those things. I'm a designer and I want to move towards being a developer. And I'm a
Yep.
developer and I want to move towards being a designer. Right. So again, you have a lot of agency. Like you are not just a passive leaf getting swept around in a fast moving current. Like you have a lot of agency here, but you need to better understand like what it is you want to be doing, right? What do you want to be doing more of? What do you want to be doing less of? Define that stuff and then start figuring out ways in the context in your current context as well as in the industry at large and beyond to figure out how to get closer to that stuff. But like again, don't just take this stuff as a truth. And there's like a lot of assumptions just wrapped up in that question. I need to do this. I need to do this. This is like this, and it's like it's not right. But if you tell yourself it is, then it does. That is the truth for you, right? So rethink reframe your mentality around this and I think like the best thing to do is again to kind of just hard agree with you. Yep, that the current environment is noisy and bullshitty and you don't need to be there. You don't need to participate in that, but instead like you do need to figure out something that you're excited about and really examine that and cultivate it.
One last little punctuation on that is, like it sounds like this person has really built themselves a small space. I need to do this. I have to do that. There's all these boundaries that they have to fall within. Like very hard, rigid lines. And that's really easy to do when you're insular in very small circles. Especially when you're just preoccupied with the developer community. It's a pretty niche circle as it is. um, and you might be in your own echo chamber.
Yeah.
I like to oftentimes say and remind myself that the web is a big place. And just because we see, like disturbing trends or trends that we don't align with, it doesn't mean that there isn't still a niche for you somewhere. The web still needs people. It could be transforming before our eyes, but this is, you know, this is a journey. It's not inevitable. We don't know how things are going to shake out, and the web still is this massive place that requires a lot of practitioners in different fields and different expertise in order to make it work.
Yeah.
So look for it, again, just like Brad says, what drives you?
Yep. Yeah, that's great. Let's
Yeah.
hit another one. That was
Yeah.
good.
I got, this one is like almost taking the next step to the two questions that we've talked about so far, right? It's like, hey, I feel tension around this stuff. My boss isn't giving me, pathways. Is this a dangling thing? I don't want any part of this. Well, here's a person that says, let's see. Hi, Brad. Hey, where's Jeff in that? I work full
Come on,
time in
people.
the, I know, right? I work full time in the police and I'm dealing with burnout while trying to transition into a more meaningful career. So this person's already made a decision, to change careers in UX design with a focus on accessibility. And to be honest, I don't enjoy my current job at all. It's a big part of why I burned out. I've been volunteering as a UX designer at a small startup to gain experience, but balancing that with my day job has been exhausting. So this is where the meat is. I've decided to quit my job at the end of the year to focus fully on this new direction, but it's scary and uncertain. I also feel stuck when it comes to being visible on LinkedIn. We got that. I know I need to show up and share my journey, but I don't know how to do that in a real and honest way, especially while I'm figuring things out. Do you have any advice for this in between space, burnt out, trying to shift paths, unsure of how to show up online and feeling like a fraud? Whew, all
Holy
that.
smokes.
So this is the next step. This person, is biting the bullet, and is saying and is doubling down, on
Yeah.
on fulfillment, which I think that's admirable, right? That's a pretty
Yes.
cool decision. But now they're in an in between space, right, where it's like you're like partially burnt out, but you're also leaning into something new at the same time.
Yeah.
Like like this is or this is like second career stuff going, like how do you go from one career into another gracefully, um and embrace that transition, knowing that like you have got to be I mean, you're basically changing disciplines and it's a whole new domain knowledge. How do you not feel like a fraud with all that, because you're dealing with a new reality and starting from a clean slate. You don't have the track record you had before. Now what?
Yeah. Now there's a lot here. So first of all, and if I'm hearing the question right, so it's like they're working at in like the police department, right?
Yeah.
So like that's its own thing. And if you're talking about burnout in the police department, like so my wife is an arts therapist and a therapist, and like she does a lot with like care workers and like, you know, interviewed people who are, first responders and stuff like that. You're talking about some serious stuff there.
Mhm.
Like when you're talking about when we're talking about burnout, it's like, like I've been, burning the
Too many
midnight oil
buttons.
and coding, sitting in front of a computer screen, and they're like seeing people lose their lives and some really, really gnarly situations. So I think that context is actually very important, and to recognize the degree of kind of trauma you might have encountered and be dealing with, and how that burnout is manifesting, because that's pretty heavy stuff. So first and foremost, definitely make sure that you are supported. The people that my wife have talked to, they're just kind of like, yeah, like there's a culture in, these fields where it's just kind of like, yeah, suck it up. Like medicine, police, firefighters, EMTs, paramedics. It's just kind of like, yeah, I don't know, that's the gig. And so there's actually like a kind of a culture around just kind of, I don't know, just sort it out. Just figure out how to be okay. All right. So all to say, if you're not already like working with professionals like in that respect, I'd say that that's a good thing, just given the nature of your work, of your old work, right?
Yeah.
So then there's this, so that's and that's big, and could be, I think, a really important uh, task that helps you kind of reframe, or to help with this new chapter, right? Which can and should be very exciting for you. Also scary, and that's also valid too, right? when you're switching careers or you're just getting started, that is a really scary place to be. And it sounds like there's been some stuff that they've been doing to cut their teeth a little bit, right? Volunteering as a UX designer at a small startup to gain experience,
Great start.
which is great, but at the same time, it's like if you don't, if your battery's empty,
Mhm.
that's something that you really need to be honest with yourself about. And it sounds like it's like something's got to give, and the give is the old, career, which is important, but it's also volunteering is a great way to get some of that hard-earned experience and to kind of get your foot in the door a little bit. You do want to be really careful with that because that stuff can just eat you alive, right? Nonprofits, startups, a lot of places are very hungry for help. They often appreciate the help, but at the same time, it's just like, oh great, like you demonstrated you could do this. Like here's just and you get dumped on, right? So be really sort of mindful of
They want you
those
personally
boundaries.
invested on top of things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really that's really really tricky. But at the same time, I do think that bodes well, right? Your sort of willingness to sort of get in, have some real experience. I think that's like one of the things that I tend to see, especially with like kind of students, is it's like how do I like position myself uh without necessarily like kind of getting out there and like doing like real hands-on work. And it's like figure out the way, whether you're inventing that work, whether you're working with like a nonprofit
Mhm.
or a startup, but like the many opportunities and places need help,
Mhm.
and figure out what you're excited about, and then kind of, you know, yeah, lean in and again be proactive and you know don't just sit there and wait for like the phone to ring. Like if you're interested in UX with an accessibility focus, I could point you to about a billion websites that could use for some accessibility improvements, right? So
To the
it's like,
WebAIM billion.
yeah, exactly. So it's like if that's what you want to move towards, I think like kind of demonstrating some real sort of foundational kind of competence in the area that you want to get to. So people like Sarah Sweden, who's
Yes.
a friend of Smashing, a friend of us, and
Yes.
it's like she has like a great course on accessibility. There's like lots of other things like you could do to sort of like, yeah, whether that's like getting a certification or like getting some stuff as well as this kind of like volunteering like kind of experience. So you kind of want like a little sort of center of gravity for the stuff that you're about to move into. But I think more importantly than like kind of having like 5 to 7 years of professional experience doing this stuff, for me, I think like one of the best things you can do is to communicate your curiosity and your enthusiasm and your willingness to learn, because everything is changing all the time. And that attitude of, yeah, I haven't done that yet, but I'm excited. I'm
Mhm.
excited to learn. Like, oh, that sounds like a really interesting thing, right? I think that attitude coupled with like again, there's kind of like table stakes demonstrating at least like some form of center of gravity of like I'm interested in UX accessibility and kind of here's what I have to show for that. But then to basically be able to express that that willingness to say like, and I'm totally pumped to get into anything related to this and to really articulate that to whoever you're talking to.
You I'm a little jealous of this person in a way, because uh, someone posted recently, and I thought, I mean, it hit me in a way where it's like, whatever you're preoccupied with is a good signal for what your fulfillment is, right? If you're preoccupied with something, that's usually, the direction your eyes are looking, even if your body isn't moving, in that direction. Like your
Yeah.
attention is over there. Clearly, you had a preoccupation with UX design and accessibility to the extent that you pursued it, in a path away
Yeah.
from your job. Like, that's passion. That's super cool. And like, the most productive, like inspiring and exciting times, in my career as a front ender was when I couldn't put the stuff down. It was when I was up at night, thinking through, they're like, why is this thing not doing what I want it to do? And so I was walking in the same direction with where I was preoccupied. Um, and what I see here specifically is, how do I show up online without looking like a fraud? You're not a fraud. You've got the
Yes.
real deal here. You've got the real passion, the secret sauce that all of us is really, desperate for. And what a lot of the questions that we cover on this show don't have, or they're trying to figure out.
Yeah.
So don't worry about feeling like a fraud. You're not a fraud. You're the real deal if you care, especially in a field that requires the empathy of accessibility. So the fact that you care, I think, is the biggest qualification you've got. And by caring, I think you are going to produce good work. You're gonna share your learnings on your blog. You're going to reflect on this stuff. You might even pursue certifications, whatever you want to do to keep furthering yourself to get deeper in this topic, to not just be a generalist in the sense, but to be preoccupied with it and to really
Yeah.
carve a niche into it, so that no, you're not going to be a fraud, with this stuff. You're actively pursuing it and actively growing, just like we all are. We're all at different, places on the timeline. You just got started on this and you've got, a whole tank of gas to go. Like I say, go, go rip roaring. This is great.
Yeah.
That's
And
why I'm a little
that
jealous.
that becomes the narrative, right? Like that's the pitch, right? It's like,
Yeah.
I I worked in the police department and I am moving into this thing because I care so much about it. And I think that the other thing that tends to happen with people that have shifted careers a lot and that have had a lot of like kind of starts and stops and like kind of have gone to a lot of different places is this. I tried doing this. Thank you. Thanks, Mac. Uh, I've tried doing this. Uh, didn't work. I'm a failure. That was a failure. That was a dead end. And now I move on to this other thing. That was a failure. I'm a failure. That was a dead end. And now I'm going to do this other thing. Versus this, all of those things along the way. You're developing skills. You are getting, carving new neural canyons. You are like learning how to show up. And like that's the thing that I think that really irks me about this kind of like flattening about like what it means to be, a UX designer, a developer, really like any of these things. And that's what kind of gets
Yes.
us into these whole like AI is going to kill the UX design. And it's like, no, because AI hasn't been a police,
Officer
whether it's an officer or like
whatever.
whatever,
Yeah.
like those experiences, you have no choice but to have those things shape you and who you are and how you show up to any job that you're doing from here on out, right? And you can wear that on your sleeve and use that as like a real pro and a real sort of selling point
Lean into it.
as you enter these things. Like if my brother was a meteorologist before he became
I
a
didn't know
web
that.
developer working with me, and it's like
Awesome.
he gets to like tell that story now and stuff, but like, you know, that's a part of people's journey, and that you aren't starting from scratch. However many years you've lived on this earth, you've picked up a bunch of valuable things. Sure, you probably have some more stuff to learn about UX specifically and accessibility and all of that stuff, and that's fine. And again, that's where that curiosity and articulating that enthusiasm really comes into play. But like, don't for a second think that you're a fraud or like that you're not starting from something, because you're very much starting from something. And that's true for literally anybody who's done any sort of work, whether that's retail job, a hostess or a host at a restaurant. Like it doesn't matter. Like all of those things contribute to how you're going to show up at your current and future roles, right? So really reject that like just kind of siloing and this, oh, I am at like ground zero, and I'm gonna have to like kind of claw my way up. And it's true, you need to build that center of
Mhm.
gravity, but don't feel like you're starting from nothing. And but yeah, like I mean, dude, like I would read those LinkedIn posts as like, here's what working in the police has taught me about
Totally.
accessibility and empathy and caring about users. Like
Absolutely.
I would 100% subscribe to that.
It's a great practical application of things, and like how did you like what triggered that transition? I mean, clearly something you know sparked, and that is what's fascinating to me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
I'd love to know
I
that.
definitely want to learn more about that, but it's like that's the reframing, and it's like, and it's okay to admit that it's like, yeah, I'm green in this world, but like that it really is such a phenomenal and fascinating story that I'd like love to learn more about, because I do think that that's like that story I feel like is such like an amazing pitch. Like I would remember that. Like not every
Yeah.
resume we look at as like I was in the police and now I'm gonna be a web person.
Yeah,
It's like,
totally.
oh, I'd be like, I would remember that one.
What's the connection? Yeah, you know, because
Yeah.
there clearly is one. You established it, you know,
Yep.
like you got on that train track, like you had to like train, you know, change tracks at some point in time. I'm curious, you know, what switch, you know, merged one track with another. That's really fascinating.
Yeah.
I like seeing dots connect like that.
100%. Yep.
Yeah. Do you want to hit another one?
Yeah. Or do we want to
Or
open it up
oh yeah.
to the
Oh,
floor
open it up.
here?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have to do that.
Yeah, we got a few people hanging out, and would love to hear from you all if you've got like something on your mind, or you want to sort of weigh in on anything that we've talked about so far on this episode.
Yeah.
So I know it's a lot to kind of put people on the spot, but I know at least a couple people who are here.
Oh man, I want to see Christopher's baby again.
He's probably busy.
Uh, you you wouldn't say, right?
And
Yeah, and I mean, we can, pose a question too, in terms
yeah.
of like, as like, is anyone, contemplating a career change at the moment, or dealing with like burnout with the ancillary noise that's happening in our field, where it's like, it's causing you to think smaller and not bigger, or just giving you, tension, that is difficult to handle. Oh, here's one. Brad, you know, SB here, in the
Shanice.
chat. Oh, nice. You seem like you have a lot of awesome projects going on. Yeah, lucky jerk. No.
Uh,
Do you have time and energy management tips when trying to pursue your passions? That's
so
interesting.
yeah. Uh, I feel like there's like a lot of the real, kind of core, your normal kind of productivity kind of stuff, your atomic habits, and you're getting things done, and like all of that's kind of just like productivity workflows, which work uh well enough if you could get them going. It, I've tried, failed. I've tried many things. It seems like a journey, but at the same time, it's important to keep trying and kind of do things. When I have a lot of varied projects going on, uh, the context switching can be a lot. And I realize this is kind of, I think, something I've been embracing and learning, like as I, had a recent diagnosis of ADHD, and that helped like connect some dots. And it's like, oh, okay, like this is just like kind of how I'm wired, and it's actually, I could wield this to my benefit, right? Which is to say, flitting around, pollinating a bunch of flowers, and kind of doing that, and that actually feels like comfortable, actually. Doing like kind of like super deep work in one area and only one area, uh is maybe like the perfect fit for someone else. That is not the perfect fit for me. So I think that it's like it really kind of comes back to knowing yourself, knowing do you like a lot of variety? Do you like a lot of like constancy? Do you like, a lot of focus time? Do you like a lot of time? What environments do you work well in? What things, do you not enjoy? Um, so I think that definitely getting things done though, or like kind of carving out some time for deep work, especially in the morning when you have energy, when you have gas in your tank, or notice when you have the gas in your tank, and really align your deepest work, the work that you feel is requires your full brain, uh, really dedicate that time and to try to establish a rhythm or establish a schedule, where you're basically kind of saying, okay, I take my daughter to wherever she's going, school, or right now it's summer camp or whatever. We get her out the door, and then I kind of have this just real forward momentum when that happens. I'm like, kind of if I'm having a driver or walker somewhere, I'll do that, and it just like really becomes like I'm like power walking back to my house because like I know that I got stuff I need to do. And that's like a really good thing to notice and to learn about yourself is like, that's when I'm like really eager to get into some stuff. And that's the work where it's like jumping into your inbox in that moment, uh is not the right application of your time and energy in that moment. It's like when you're like just like feeling that like overflowing, or like you're yeah, I got all these ideas or all these things. Do the substantive work then, right? If it's urgent, important, just something that you can't shake out of your brain, like this big idea. It's like that's the time when the clouds are forming and the lightning's about to strike. It's like capitalize on that, put yourself in that headspace, put yourself in that thing. And what's wild is that like when you just allow yourself to act on that lightning, I found, doesn't necessarily strike uh maybe in that same place for another while. And that's not a failure, it's not a whatever. You just kind of like take things for as far as you can for as long as you can until your other obligations and other things kind of pull you away, and those things become there. And what I've learned, I have like a blog post that's kind of like forthcoming, is kind of getting comfortable with the fact that it's like there could only be so many things on the front burner, but actually the back burners, infinite, like infinite back burners. And I don't see those as failures. Like I'm looking at a painting right now that is over 10 years old. It is unfinished, but like it's it I have every intention of finishing it. And I've actually over the years, there have been times where I've like kind of gone back to it. Right. So it's a very like fascinating thing to follow your energy in a way that allows you to sort of like make interesting things happen, to make forward progress on like sort of deep and meaningful and yes, urgent and important work, right? So because sometimes it is like I feel a burning passion to get back to my desk so that I can answer those emails that are now boiling over, and I absolutely need to respond to people, or I need to do my taxes, or I need to like do this like hard, important, sort of like thoughtful work. So it's not all like artsy, kind of like fun, creative work, but it's like what's like the urgent, important slash fulfilling stuff that you need to take care of. Find out when in your day you feel the most energized to take that stuff on and show up with your full self, and then kind of take it as far as you can before, you know, either the other realities of life, your other obligations, your other to-do lists, or you run out of steam.
Absolutely. The second part, or the second part of that question, do you have time and energy management tips? Um, I do, especially when like you have a lot of different things moving on, it can, I don't know, I got the ADD, diagnosis too. And for me, like a lot of things just circle around my head and things feel busy. And I don't always know how to suss that stuff out, or like what I need to do is I need to visualize it. So I actually keep a whiteboard in my office here, and I have it segmented into 5 columns, and these 5 columns are like just the basic areas of my life, right? And this is something I got from working with a client years ago, but they call it the 5 F's, whatever. It's like faith, fun, friends, family, and finances. And oh, I did that, look at that, first try. And then being able to see what you're doing in those various areas, like those are largely, I mean, it's not a perfect framework, but it helps you, with your, lead a more balanced,
Yeah.
distribution of how you're spending your time and energy. Because yeah, you are going to have to focus on your finances sometimes. Your family should definitely be a priority, but you do have to have fun too. So it's like, you have to make sure that you're dedicating energy to all these. So when Brad is like saying, hey, find what fulfills you, you have to really understand yourself. This can be a way of understanding that a little more, just adding a little definition, to the different facets of your life, and help prioritize those things and just see them visually in front of you so that you can concretely get them out of your brain. So that's what I tend to do personally.
That's beautiful. I love it. I
Man.
might have to start doing that.
Oh, I'll give you a whiteboard template. It's so fancy. It's so fancy.
Hey, like lo-fi stuff tends to be pretty great.
I love it.
My to-do list kind of approach is now just back down to just like a basic bulleted list of things now, and I'm just like, okay, that's a lot more straightforward and effective than a big fancy Notion board with 17 things I need to fill out just to say buy groceries.
But Notion is accessible everywhere, like just
It's good.
log in.
It's still a good tool, but yeah, it's important. All right, Amanda, I see you showing yourself and your whiteboard behind you. So
That's
there we
right.
go.
No.
But I think that means we've reached the end of the
Yeah,
end of
right on
of
time
the
too. Look at
episode.
that. Spot
Yeah,
on.
we are. We're right on
On the
time.
half hour.
But yeah, but like so again, thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. We now again have this in podcast form, which is awesome. And definitely we're going to do this again. And in the meantime, if you want us to kind of weigh in on your situation and chew the fat on it and give some advice and pointers, uh, feel free to submit your thing. You could do that anonymously. And since we are now in podcast format, we would love it if you subscribe to it, did all of like the requisite
Stuff.
tap dancing. Since we're talking about performative tap dancing, we would love for you to tap dance with us and help us with that, because we genuinely want to keep this going. We want people to really benefit from it, and that's just the kind of weird affordances of the landscape that we're in. So
Yeah.
I think it's fine to be eyes wide open with it, right? Like we were talking about, it's like, you don't have to be doing this. Well, we kind of do, because we're trying to be out there in the world and help people and all of that stuff. So that comes along for the ride. So if you could help us out there, we would appreciate it. And yeah, we will see you next time.
Thank you so much, everyone.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.